Welcome to Switch Comics. My name is Marco,
I'm Chris.
and today we got, a healthy stack of comics. Now, we got some other stuff to show off too, including we do have the treasure chest. Got some cool things waiting in here. So, little surprise. I will say it is several books, though. It's not just one thing.
At least two.
There is some things in there, and they're pretty cool. We're going to do that at the end of the video, so make sure you stay tuned for that. And before we get into it, reminder, we are currently doing an awesome giveaway for some absolutely incredible books. All you have to do is check out the short...
Mainly Moon Knight.
Well, I mean, also some pretty old Werewolf, or, not even Werewolf by Night, it's technically Marvel Spotlight books here. Where both... No, just Werewolf by Night got started. Moon Knight did do Spotlight, but it was issue 28. That was like his first solo story. They both share that in common. But anyway, doing an awesome giveaway for those books. All you have to do is check out our short video that we did called A Werewolf in Moonlight and give us some feedback. Let us know what you think. It's the pinned video on the channel. So let's go ahead and get into it. We got a lot of stuff to go over. Starting with Tiger Division number 1. We picked up the Momoko variant here. Did you read this one, Chris?
Yeah.
I enjoyed it. A good solid start. Kind of getting some back history on Taiguchi, I think is how you pronounce it. Probably at least slightly wrong.
I've already forgotten all their names. All I know is the one that's like a demigod, looks like Wolverine.
Well, he's the one that really hasn't been in much. I mean, none of them have been in a ton. But
I haven't read any of their other books.
He was just introduced in... Well, you were a Taskmaster.
No, Taskmaster.
That was his first appearance.
Yeah.
And then I think maybe one other book other than that. And then, so this is starting to delve into his backstory a little bit. Definitely more information than we've ever gotten about him. We also picked up the awesome Art Germ variant. And yeah, so I'm very interested to see these characters explored. They're characters that we very often get... Or, I was going to say very often get little about, but that doesn't really make sense.
They haven't been around that long.
For the most part, yeah. I really like White Fox. There was a really cool White Fox one-shot a little while back that I thought was really cool. I really enjoyed that a lot. But anyway, so moving on to Secret Invasion. We picked up the Delato cover. And so this was a book I was very excited for because the author is Ryan North. To my knowledge, he's only written one comic before. I haven't done super extensive research, but he did a one-shot last year, Darkhold Iron Man. Fantastic read. Absolutely loved it. So I was super excited to find out he was writing this, as well as Fantastic Four, the new series coming up. And, I was kind of like not on the fence, but I was trying to be excited, but not trying to be too excited, because it was like, that was an amazing read, but maybe, very limited pool to sample from. I can say with this one issue, I'm feeling pretty confident. I'm going to call it out now. He's going to be, we had Donnie Cates, and then Jed McKay's been doing a bunch of awesome stuff lately. He's going to be the next one, all right?
Yeah.
He's going to be the next one. I think he's got a lot of cool things. This was an awesome first issue. I really liked kind of just the whole... He's a good writer, you know what I mean? And as you, develop more into reading comics, I feel like, people start with, I like this character, I like that character. But then, when you start doing more and more, you start following writers. And I'm very excited to see what Ryan North has in store. So moving on to She-Hulk number 7. Been really loving the series. Again, just super...
Fun.
Laid back and light and different. And that's another thing with this. This felt very different from your average Marvel comic. But again, he's more of a novelist, so it did feel... And this series has, I've called it very slice of life, kind of. There's been very, very little action in it. The ending of this particular issue was pretty interesting. Did feel a little bit more normal, kind of comic-y. But yeah, I mean, the chunk of this issue and really this series is just people talking and just well-written characters and kind of going through this, well, where are we at in life and where do we go from here? And it's kind of refreshing because I don't know, you get that moment of like, even these incredible people don't have it at all, have, you know, their whole life figured out. Like they still have struggles that, and it kind of makes them more relatable. You know what I mean? And in the same way, kind of feels empowering. So, been loving She-Hulk, super awesome series. And then moving on to Hulk number 10, the ugly cover that everyone's been talking about for a while since they've been having it weirdly like marketed. I felt kind of heavily because they even did a poster, and they usually only do posters for number ones and
I
stuff.
don't think
So
it's that ugly.
that people just don't like. I mean, like the art is fine. They just don't like the design of this
Oh.
Hulk thing. I don't even know what it is really.
He had a name in there.
I don't remember. It was one of the first books that I read. But anyway, pretty interesting issue. Nothing super crazy happens. It's setting a lot of stuff up. We did also pick up this cool Iron Spider, or no, what Armored Spider? I mean to say, cover. A lot of fun on that one. But yeah, I mean it's a good issue. Setting some pieces into play. There was also some kind of interesting backstory elements to Bruce. I thought was the better parts of this issue. And I'm a sucker for some good character building backstory. And then we move on to Avengers Forever number 10, a book that I'm not reading, but Chris is.
Yeah. Delve into Tony Stark this time around. And again, I feel like, well, I'd say less so than the Axe one that focused on Tony Stark.
Yeah.
Delves into Tony's character once again, and who he has been throughout the years. The cover for the next one's really cool. You should show it off.
I thought this one came out.
No.
No? Okay. This one is really cool, though. I remember seeing it, I guess, in a preview book, I guess.
Yeah, it was a preview.
It's a rad cover.
Mm-hmm.
It is super, super cool.
This time is okay. Tony Stark was the final piece they needed before they can actually fight the multiversal master.
Is this the same Tony Stark that was in the first issue?
Yeah.
Okay. So it's was it kind of not really following him a lot?
It was mainly following him.
Okay. Moving on to Punisher number... Oh, I was like, where's the number? It's right there. Number 7. So Daredevil finally enters the picture. I thought this was a pretty solid issue.
Yeah, once again, just absolutely fantastic.
Yeah, this has been a great series. Yeah, just really delving into the psyche of Punisher and what makes him the way that he is, and his family life, and his people from when he went to war, and also him being in the hand, and just his full everything that is and ever has been with him and what he is, so it's just a solid, very well written story. Really digging that one. This one you didn't read. So Savage Avengers, what is this, number 7? Chris is behind on that series, and I'm not reading any Avengers stuff. So that's the end of our Marvel stuff. Then we do have Predator number 4. We picked up the Sakai variant. Pretty cool. Not everyone's a big fan of Sakai, but I like his stuff. I'm not like a crazy big fan, but I think he has some cool pieces from here.
Yeah, I don't know if I would read a book with that art, but
maybe. Anyway, pretty cool issue. The ending of this I thought was pretty neat.
Yeah.
I'm curious to see what that will bring into the next issue. Get a little bit more action in this one. I don't think quite as good as... What was the first issue that had some really awesome action? I think.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was the first one. It still, I think, has the best action.
It hasn't had the same action in it.
No, I think they kind of peaked.
Number 3 was pretty good.
Not to say that like the rest is crap or anything, but like the first issue so far has been better than the rest.
But you can't have every single one be the best action.
I know, but I kind of would like to go back at that some point. There was some cool character design, I guess, to not say too much, but some cool stuff going on in this one. And then, like I said, the ending definitely has me intrigued and ready to read the next one. And then we just got a Star Wars Bounty Hunter cover by. Chris really liked the black hole
Yeah,
in that one.
they use a scientifically accurate black hole because this is it's, based off the first picture we've ever had of. Well, I guess not first picture, but most accurate picture we've had of a black hole.
He's been talking about it all day.
Anyway,
Anyway,
I nerd about that. I love it.
so then moving on to DC, which we actually have a decent stack of DC books here today. So we have Gotham City Year 1, issue number 2. This series has been pretty interesting so far. That issue really pops. I don't know. I'm just looking on the camera, like I mean, in real life too, I guess, but like on the camera, I just feel like bam. Anyway, just a good detective
I like
story.
the cover B on that. We didn't pick one up, but
I don't remember looking at the cover B.
Some kind of gruff-looking detective, kind of bloodied up.
Oh, and he had like band-aids
Yeah.
on and stuff. Okay, I think I like this one better. I like the use of negative space and kind of abstractism about it. But anyway, pretty solid issue. Not my favorite series. Our boss at work seems to like this a lot more than I do, I think. It's just a detective story. I'm like, it's cool. It's interesting. Then we have Batman 129. Now this, I'm really digging. I have notoriously not really cared about Batman kind of forever. I mean, I watched the Batman animated series when I was growing up, but even that, I wasn't like... I was just like, oh, this is fun. I like this. This is enjoyable. And then, I haven't really cared too much. I enjoyed that last Batman movie. But anyway, I'm digging this. This is really, really cool. Chris is behind. He's not reading it, but I think it's super solid is what I was trying to say. Failsafe, I think, is a really interesting character. And I think what I like about it is it's really exploring the faults of Batman. And that's to me what's super boring is when Batman is just this pure being of can do no wrong, knows the answers to life, and is more powerful than gods, and just infinite knowledge and power. That's boring. Yeah, I just don't care for that. But he's very talented. He's Batman, but he's Batman to his detriment, and that's much more interesting to me. Moving on to Poison Ivy number 6. I really like this cover A. It is creepy and cool, and I like it. This series has been pretty cool. I thought it was going to be a 5-part miniseries. I'm glad that it's extending past that. A little bit of setup. I'm really curious with kind of the thing they got going on towards the end, kind of where they're pushing the end of this arc and then moving into the next one. I think it was kind of an interesting. So, like, obviously, like these, first 6 issues is its own little arc. They're moving on to the next thing, and this is the climatic end. Except for not super crazy. I feel like this was a story much more about the journey rather than a big flashy end, which isn't a bad thing. But with this issue, it just felt a little bit like a little closure, and then time to regrow in a way. Also picked up the Frizzen variant, which pretty good. I always love the Frizzen variants. Not my favorite, probably my least favorite one she's done for Ivy, which is not a bad thing.
It's my favorite out of the 3 this week.
Well, I mean, yeah, Frizzen's awesome, but that's the thing. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like, by no means bad. It's still very, very good, but it's just like seeing some of the other ones that she's done is like, yeah, it doesn't compare to this. Or this one doesn't compare to those.
I don't like this cover.
I think this one's cool. Yeah, Chris doesn't like it anytime like she's turning into, but like in the story, she's like very planty at certain parts. So, I don't know. I think it's interesting. And by no means not my favorite cover, but I like Ivy and I want to pick it up. Another book Chris is supposedly reading. I don't know. He's sitting in a pile.
Again,
Sword of Azrael number 4. So, yeah, nothing to say about that one. And then I just have but a single indie book, and then actually, one more book to talk about. We have Night of the Ghoul number 2. This is the Snyder book that I didn't get to read the number 1 when we first got it, but I did read both issues today. They are thicker, too. Very interesting horror. I'm really digging it. It's basically a fan of a horror director tracks down, and he's like the director's very old at this point, living in a nursing home, and but his name was changed, and he just kind of disappeared off the face of the earth. But the fan tracked him down, and has his last film that was lost in a fire, has the remnants of it, and he goes to meet and talk to him about the film, and it ends up turning out that the film was more than just a movie. It's kind of my brief explanation. It's pretty interesting. I really like the setup. You're going in between like what's happening in the real world, and then going back to like this weird, not weird, but like cool way that they like show like the grainy film footage, you know. And so you're kind of seeing the story of that and seeing the story of that's happening now. And yeah, it's pretty interesting. I'm really, really digging that one. Love everything I've read by Snyder, so you know, I was definitely pretty sure I was going to like this as well. And the last thing we picked up is something that our shop accidentally sent us. But yeah, it's just a big old Gundam book, and it's got
a lot of Gundams,
like models and other things in there, and
I don't understand it because most of it's in Japanese.
Yeah, it's all Japanese, but it's got cool stuff in there. So it's just a bunch of pictures that Chris is looking at and being like, "Oh wow, oh I guess a bunch of other things in there as well." I thought it.
It's not just Gundam.
Yeah. So I don't know, a big product book of sorts. But
I'm gonna figure it out, and I'm gonna get some Gundams.
I hopefully sped through that as quick as I could, while also giving pertinent information for people wanting to know about books that came out this week. But we have the treasure chest, and like I said, multiple things in here, so I wanted to make sure we had time to go through it. So starting off here with X-Men 60. So I sent this one back. This came back really, really quick. So it was economy, but fast passed. Came back in 4 weeks. And actually, we're still waiting on my moderns. I think they have been shipped. But yeah, these even came before my moderns. I wish they should send them at the same time. But whatever. Here they are. X-Men 60. This one I was expecting, I think like a 6 to maybe a 7. Like a 7 would be like awesome. But we will see. My friend at work, Travis, taped it up. I forgot to tell him to put pull tabs on there. But whatever. So, 4.5. That's definitely lower. I was hoping for a 6, but
that's a bummer.
Yeah, a bit of a bummer, but I mean it's still a cool book. One I've had for a while. Well, there's our first one, and these are all things. I don't know if this one's gonna go on the wall. I just really like Sauron.
Yeah, he's fun.
And wall space is getting limited.
Yeah, either expand the wall or don't.
Yeah, I don't know what I'm gonna do. I'm sure when y'all watch us tonight on our live stream, you'll see the new books that get added to the wall. It's gonna be a struggle, but then we have Hero for Hire #1, often misinterpreted as being Luke Cage #1, but it is technically Hero for Hire #1. This one, I was thinking 4 to 5. That first one not going super great. So let's see if I'm any better on this one. Right in the middle, 4.5.
Hell yeah.
So yeah, there we go. More or less right on the money on that one. So obviously first appearance of Luke Cage. I got first Jessica Jones there. This is subbing for my first Punisher. I'm looking for one, by the way. If anybody knows Spider-Man 129 in roughly like a 3 to a 5 grade, it's kind of where I'm looking at the ballpark. Anyway, and then I got first Iron Fist as well. So he's got, well, obviously he has to go right next to first Iron Fist, but he's got to go over there somewhere. Something's going to have to move. And then I need first, well, I'm not going to get first Daredevil for a long time. I do want it at some point, but yeah, not for a while. Up next we have Fantastic Four #50. So yeah, I have Fantastic Four 48 here at a 3.5. This one,
Silver Surfer at a 3.
I think could be a 3.5. I know my 49 is not a 3.5. If this one is a 3.5, then it's going to be kind of neat because it's like, oh, it matches. But then that means I'm going to have to go buy a 3.5 for 49, which will be neat to have a matching set, but it won't be so neat to have to spend that extra money. Now, if this doesn't match, I won't care, and I'll just keep the 3 that I have. Come on, tape. So it's kind of a mixed bag. Like, there's exciting ways it could go both ways. I do think it's roughly in that grade, though. I'm thinking probably more like a 3. Yeah, look at that. Okay, that's kind of good. That means I don't have to buy a 3.5. So yeah, I mean, we was right on the money with that one. And then the last book, the 49. So this one, I don't think has any right being over a 0.5. I don't think. It's missing coupons or ads or something, and it's
missing its very soul.
It's a low grade book, but it's First Galactus, and it's the trio. I got the full trilogy here, and so these 3, are going up on the wall. And that's why I said I don't know about the Sauron, because the trilogy has to go on the wall. Luke Cage has to go on the wall. I don't know about Sauron. I like Sauron. I don't know if he's gonna make it. So yeah, 0.5 should be. Yeah, look at that. But I thought this was going to be a green label because of the missing coupons. I don't entirely know how that works. But yeah, I thought this was going to be a green label, so I was pretty excited that it came back a blue label. So yeah, 0.5 Fantastic Four 49. And I knew when I bought this, it was super, super low grade. Yeah, I got it for what I thought was a really good price. So I'm just happy to have one. And I think it presents well. I mean, I always talk about low grade books. And, to me, as long as... It's not the best looking copy in the world, obviously. But, I mean, the colors are pretty good. There's no major chipping. You have, right there... Oh, almost knocked the case into the ground. Well, let's see. Yeah, I think you can see that. There's, a decent-sized chip there. The corners are very, very... The spine in general is just very, very rough. But, I mean, overall, not too bad of a 0.5 looking book. Honestly, the cover's missing less than my... Journey into Mystery, I'd say. But, lots of factors that go into the grade. Obviously, my Journey into Mystery isn't missing pieces out of the actual book, so that's going to ding this one. But those are our 4 books. We will be having... God, that Galactus just shined right into my eye. Yeah, he started flashing. Yeah, the figure, not the... Oh, and I will be, at some point, making him hold this book... and put it on Instagram and do something cool with
his finger.
Oh no, Galactus. But anyway, our moderns should probably be here pretty soon. So I would expect to see that hopefully in a video later this week. Again, definitely go check out our little short video Halloween special we did, A Werewolf in Moonlight. Feedback, by the way, has been insane. Thank you all so much for all the support. It's always... When you do something new and different, you're covering his face.
You're shy.
When you're doing something new and different, though, it's very nerve-wracking, and especially...
It's also really hard to do this.
Well, that's what I said. We'll do it later. But yeah, it's very nerve-wracking. You really magnify the flaws, and then again, we made that video just kind of on a whim, and we're just gonna go have fun with it. But then, I start putting work into it, and there's certain aspects of it that are like, definitely well done, and there's certain parts of it that, we just, lazy, like, whatever. And so part of me is like, we should have spent more time, or this, that, or whatever, but again, it was just a fun video, and the response has been really awesome. That looks nice. He does hold that pretty well.
He's got good hands.
Yeah, we're going to have to do some Instagram pictures. I need to get an X-Men 14 so we can do the same thing with the Sentinel as well. That is anotody book on my want list. If somebody has that.
But he's got to do it with the tendrils.
I don't know about that. It'd be
They're
cool.
Really strong.
It'd be really cool if we could do that. But anyway.
They're really strong.
Again, like a 3 to a 5 kind of grade is what I'm looking for. Let me know. I think that's all I got for you. I will be popping up on somebody else's channel here pretty soon, but I don't know exactly when, so I'll give you more details about that later. Join us tonight. We're going to be live streaming The Return to Raft.
The Return to Raft.
Pretty excited for that. It's been a long time since we played Raft. So I'm going to have fun with that. I'm going to have fun getting these comics. It's going to be fun but stressful figuring out what comics got to go. Because what is that? 49, 50, Luke Cage, 3 books got to go off the wall. It's always a hard choice, picking which of your children are the ugliest. Anyway, no. Thank you all so much for watching, and we'll see you next time.
Bye.